first step in cleaning up after a print job is cleaning the screens, tools, and equipment used to print that job. While cleanup is not most screen printers' idea of fun, the job can be made easier if it's done methodically and with the right equipment and supplies. And we're going to discuss that right now. Before you start any cleanup job, put on a cleanup apron to protect your clothes and have plenty of disposable rubber gloves on hand. Rubber gloves are cheap and keep you from having to spend hours cleaning ink from your fingernails and everything else on your body. You can get rubber gloves from most screen printing supply vendors and from dozens of other sources as well. It's also a good idea to keep various sizes on hand to accommodate your employees, both men and women, whose sizes of course will be different, who are assigned the screen cleaning duties. The first step in cleanup is removing the excess ink back into the containers. If the job involves plastisol, the wonderful thing is you can reuse that ink and you simply scrape the ink back into the container from which it came. If you happen to be using solvent-based ink, it's likely there will be very little left and you should just discard it. Let's talk about ink spatulas. We mentioned this in a previous section, and again, we believe it's a very good idea to have a set on hand, as they will be very useful for during the cleanup of removing ink from the screens and getting the ink back into the buckets. A very good investment. Similarly, we mentioned having mixing spoons. The mixing spoons also have a purpose during the cleanup, and you want to clean them up after you've done, removing all ink so it doesn't get on your carts and everything else in the shop. Once you've scraped all the ink from the screens, the next step is to remove the tape from inside the screen and discard it. If you've used any of the tapes that we've recommended in our taping section, the tape should come off very easily. The next step is the actual cleaning of the screen. It's important that you have on hand an adequate quantity of paper wiping cloths. You can buy these wiping cloths by the case from your screen print supply vendor as screen wipes or in a box, where they are commonly sold in stores as rags in a box. These paper cloths are reasonable in cost and will go a long way if you use them properly. The first step in cleaning the screen, after all the excess ink and tape have been removed, is to wipe all remaining ink off in the screen with the wiping cloths. In our shop, we would continually fold the cloth over and over until it was completely used up before discarding it. Our concern was to get the screens as clean as possible and to send as little waste ink down the drain as possible. In fact, if you use this screen cleaning method, you will send virtually no ink down the drain, as all of the ink has been removed from the screens onto the wiping cloths. The final step in cleaning the screen is spraying the screen with screen wash and wiping the screen down carefully to remove all remaining traces of visible ink. You know the screen is clean when there are no more traces of ink on a wiping cloth. Screen wash is a generic term for a variety of ink removal chemicals. We recommend the use of soybean-based and other ecologically friendly screen cleaning chemicals. Not only for the obvious ecological reason, but for the fact they work just as well or better than solvent-based cleaners such as mineral spirits, which are flammable and present a fire hazard to your shop. It's a good idea to order a screen cleaner in a gallon container or larger and dispense it using spray bottles, which should be labeled for that purpose. It's a good idea to keep spray bottles not only in your screen wash area, but on the ink carts as well when you go to do your cleanup job. On a related note, misprinted shirts that can no longer be used for test printing can be cut up and used as cleaning rags. Keep them stored in a box and make use of these discards whenever possible. Let's talk about the actual now washing and cleaning of the screen after all the ink has been removed. Once the screen has been completely wiped free of all ink, take the screen to the washout sink Spray it again with some screen wash. Scrub it lightly to protect the stencil if you're going to reuse the screen, and then wash it down for a final cleaning using a gentle spray of water. If the screen is going to be reclaimed this time, follow the instructions for the screen reclamation process. If you're going to use the screen again after it's been cleaned, simply place it in the drying rack after the cleaning. The last two things we want to mention are the cleaning of the ink cans, the ink cart, if you have one, and the cleaning of tools and equipment. Take the few extra minutes to wipe off the lids and sides of the ink containers and wipe down the ink cart. Unwanted ink has a tendency to show up where it isn't wanted. The first time an expensive shirt is ruined by careless cleaning, this will prompt you to tighten up your cleaning procedures in your shop. The last step we want to discuss is cleaning the tools and equipment. There's nothing worse than touching the printing equipment and then finding ink on your fingers. This is how so many shirts are ruined, by neglecting to clean up the printing press and the tools properly after the job has been done. After cleaning the screens and wiping off the ink cans, the final step is to clean up the squeegees, the ink spatulas, and of course the printing press itself. If you instill the proper cleaning procedures to all employees in your shop, it will definitely pay off for you in the long run.